Oh, then tell me, Sean O'Farrell, where the gathering is to be. In the owl spot by the river, right well known to you and me. One word more for signal token, whistle up that marching tune, with your pike upon your shoulder by the rising of the moon.
By the rising of the moon, by the rising of the moon, with your pike upon your shoulder, by the rising of the moon, by the rising of the moon, by the rising of the moon, with your pike upon your shoulder, by the rising of the moon.
Behold, lads, my graduation gift to you.
Oh, Daddy, this is marvellous!
You dragged us all the way here to look at a lump of hardened clay.
Are you blind? It's a statue of Lawrence O'Toole, the patron saint of our brotherhood.
Oh, the Fenians have a patron saint now, do they?
Just shut your mouth and pray. What are you doing?
Praying with me mouth shut, just like you instructed me to.
What did I tell you, Daddy? This spoil sport will ruin the pilgrimage for us.
Ah, sure. If he gets to be too much of a pest, we'll just shoot him and dump his body in the river. We'll tell your mother he ran off with the Duchess of York. Call to thine aid, O most liberty-loving O'Toole, whose Christian auxiliaries of power and glory, the soul-inspiring cannon, the meek and faithful musket, the pious rifle, the conscience-examining pike, which tempered in a martyr's faith, a Fenian's hope and a rebel's charity, will triumph over the devil and restore us to our one in our land forever. Amen.
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 And what do we have here?
The heads of our enemies.
Grand. This'll keep the fire burning for hours. You'll not need to fetch firewood now.
Please don't.
Why not? Didn't I pay for them? So I can dispose of them any way I please.
Actually, to be exact, I pay with those with my own money.
Since when do you have your own money?
Since last month.
That's right. Hugh's got a job in the city. And a mighty lucrative one, too. His employer gives him a handsome advance, and so, what does he buy with it? More books. Do you know how much whiskey I could have bought with that money? Enough to keep me married for another decade.
Why am I always the last one to find out these things?
Go on, baby brother. Don't be coy. Brag away.
There's nothing to brag about. I'm yet to prove myself. It's a steady but modest income.
Some widowed banker hired Hugh as a private tutor for his bedridden son. The lad relies upon crutches to get around his room. It's a miserable sight. But, Daddy, you should see the man's house. He's got a 3-story mansion on Frankfurt Avenue with a Model Morse outside the gate.
Seems a bit wasteful. Spending all that money on a lad on his deathbed.
The word is bedridden. Nobody said he was on his deathbed.
And what's the difference? He's in bed with no hope of getting out of it anytime soon. If his father's as rich as your brother insists, why doesn't he go out and get himself a young wife who can produce him a string of healthy children and not keep throwing his money into a bottomless barrel?
No, you shouldn't be so hasty to judge my employer, Daddy. If you think of it, his motives aren't much different from yours.
What the hell are you talking about?
Well, you sold your farm in Boyle to pay for our education. That's an admirable act of paternal sacrifice, but let's be candid. Your fondest dream is to see us slaughtered for the cause, not succeed in our professions. Well, you remember what you said at Mr. McCluskey's dinner party? Yeah, you threw your arm around him. You said, "Oh, McCluskey, it's such a bittersweet honor to see your son sacrificed on the altar of the Republic. To you, we're nothing more than educated cannon fodder."
Caitlin is with child.
Well, high time. Just the news I've been waiting for. So why wouldn't she be with child after your recent trip to the hayloft?
You know about the hayloft?
I practically arranged it, you thick-skulled boy. I kept McCluskey in the pub for hours till well after midnight, so you and Caitlin could finish your business in peace. Do you know how much money I spent on his drink that night? Well, at least now you know she's not barren, so you can marry her in good conscience. What?
Nothing.
You don't suppose I'd let my son marry a woman who couldn't give him offspring? Don't look at me like that. After what you did to your mother. You nearly killed her, you know.
Yeah. You only mentioned it 700 times.
Who would have thought a runt like you could cause so much harm to his mother's body? She hasn't been able to conceive since. She was barely 18. She had decades of breeding ahead of her. But thanks to you, all my dreams of a family flew up the chimney. Big house and no one to fill it. If you had been more like your brother, I would have softened the blow. Honestly, if I had another Dylan, I wouldn't mutter a word of complaint. But you spend the first 10 years of your life coughing, panting and wheezing. It wouldn't surprise me if you did it all on purpose, just to vex me.
I had a weak chest. That's what the doctor said.
Ah, some quack from a posh city clinic. Weak chest. Whoever heard of such a thing? And then he suggests we take you off to a warmer climate. Italy or Spain. I sure, why the hell not? Sell the house, the land, the livestock, and sail away to an island in the Mediterranean.
Well, at least those are Catholic countries. Papist paradise.
You probably wouldn't have survived the trip anyway.
Look, Daddy, I'm sorry I'm such an embarrassment. And I'm sorry I made Mommy barren. Never mind the fact that you gave her no respite. You know, if my calculations are correct, you forced yourself on her when Dylan was barely 6 weeks old. No, that probably has nothing to do with it. No, it's all my fault. Yeah, I should have killed her that day. Well, then you'd be free to remarry and build your Fenian army from the comfort of your own spousal bed. Instead, you're trapped in a barren marriage.
Why don't you go and fetch some firewood?
No, I'm not leaving you two alone for an instant. I promised Mummy I'd bring Hugh back in one piece.
Don't be daft. If I wanted to thrash your brother senseless, I wouldn't hesitate to do it in front of you.
Yeah, you don't need to worry about me. Daddy never strike me, even in jest, no matter how drunk he was. There's no sport in beating a runt. No Fenian would stoop to that. God knows he has no qualms about splitting your lip, cracking your skull. Ever wonder why you had such trouble in algebra? Well, Daddy dropped you on your head one too many times.
His father's sword he has girded on, and his wild harps long behind him. Land of song, said the warrior bard, though all the world betrays thee, one sword at least thy life shall guard. One faithful harp shall praise thee.
What's a woman doing here?
That's no ordinary woman. She's done more for our cause than the three of us put together. She's the one who built this altar and now tends to it. Lads, you remember Aidan McCormick's daughter, Isabel?
How could one forget? Issy, why are you wearing a bird's nest on your head?
My father's tenants crowned me May Queen.
But it's June now.
What's the difference? In my father's estate, everything comes 1 month late, including the rent. It's all the same to him. He doesn't keep track of time or money.
How's Aidan faring these days? Still suffering those headaches?
That piece of shrapnel in his skull isn't going anywhere. lasting souvenir from the South African campaign. On the bright side, Payne seems to unleash hidden talents in him. During the last episode, he made this sculpture. My father, who'd never touched clay in his life.
You lads should be kneeling in front of her. Do you know how many souls she's recruited into the IRB?
Ah, you flatter me, Mr. Malone. Although, there was that one lad, English, a lieutenant's son. By the time I was done with him, he was ready to pledge his flesh, blood, and soul to the Irish Republic.
Oh, what's the matter? Is our situation so dire we must poach enemy members from the other side?
Why does it surprise you? There are plenty of enlightened, compassionate people among the English who find the current regime abhorrent. Gentlemen, my father set some rabbit traps in the grass along the banks. Would you be good enough to go and check them before nightfall? Hugh and I will stay and start the fire.
Don't burn the place down, you two. Off we go.
Well, won't you tell me her name?
Whose name?
The name of the English witch for whose sake you betrayed our country?
Oh, don't be ludicrous, Issy. We don't have a country.
Not yet we don't, but we will one day. I predict in another 10 years we'll see a green flag flying over the City Hall in Dublin.
That's right. That's right. Dream on, Issy.
Don't you jig your way around the subject. I won't be satisfied until you tell me her name.
Ah, how optimistic of you. To think there's some woman I'm hiding. Haven't you forgot? It's me we're talking about. Hugh Malone. Poor weakling who cannot walk 10 yards uphill without panting. Ridiculed, despised by the ladies. Of course, having a Red Bull for a brother doesn't exactly help. Well, if it weren't for him, I'd be dead by now. Which probably be a more dignified fate. You know, every time the neighborhood ruffians would ally against me, Dylan would rush in to save me. Thus making me all the more pathetic to the fair sex. You want to talk about unequal distribution of nature's gifts? Well, Dylan's got the looks in the family. He's also got the strength, courage, endurance, everything Daddy expects to see in his son. And what have I got to show for myself, except for my acrid sense of irony?
Enough of that self-deprecation. You haven't been that pitiable creature in quite some time. So you didn't have the most victorious start I've seen how the girls from the Gaelic League look at you. Remember the last Cayley? I've taught you how to dress, how to dance, how to kiss.
Yeah, it's a shame your kisses were wasted, Issy. Today, I'm no closer to plunging into the nationalist cause than I was 2 years ago when you first planted your lips on mine. I could tell you didn't want to kiss me. You found me repulsive.
That's not true.
Oh, come on. I could hear you grinding your teeth. Yeah, I could tell a false kiss from a genuine one, as meager as my experience is. You were forcing yourself for the greater good. Another act of self-sacrifice on your part. Another prospective recruit. Still a mystery to me what potential you saw. What could I possibly contribute to this country you envision? I'd make a rotten soldier.
Country doesn't just need soldiers, it needs scholars too. Your father understood that. Why do you think he sent you to Dublin? Ireland will need her own intellectual elite. And you were wrong to think I was repulsed by you. I rather enjoyed being your kissing tutor. Now, give me your hand. No, not this one. The other one. That thin strip of white on your ring finger.
You notice everything, don't you, Inspector McCormick?
I see. Someone enjoyed a torrid honeymoon on the Howth Harbour. Someone burned his dainty academician hands in the sun and then removed the wedding band shortly before reuniting with his father. I suppose I should congratulate you. I've always wanted to see you with a deserving woman, even if she is from the enemy camp.
What makes you think that?
She has to be. Otherwise, why wouldn't you introduce her to your father? There must be a good reason for keeping your marriage a secret. He'll shoot you when he finds out, you know?
Yeah, he'll try, sure enough. Luckily, he doesn't always hit his mark. He'll shoot before he thinks, but he's not the best marksman. You know, one time, he was aiming at a lame old deer from a distance of about 10 yards. He still missed.
This time he'll get you right between the ribs. It's just a nagging premonition I have.
Would that sadden you?
Well, yes. Believe it or not, I do care for you, even if you are a traitor.
Don't call me that.
Why? Does that word offend you?
No, but it's grossly inaccurate. A traitor is someone who breaks his promises. And I never made any promises. Not to Daddy, not to you, not to the Irish Republic. No. Leave me to my fate, Issy. Leave me to my books. My place is at the bedside of a boy who's got no more than 2 years left to live. He'll never use the knowledge I'm about to put into his feverish head. His father's in denial. Just like mine.
Well now, Miss McCormick, where are those bloody rabbit traps? We've looked everywhere. Your father certainly hides them well.
Hush, fool. Look, if ye need to be rid of us, we'd be happy to oblige.
He was just telling me about his new job in Dublin.
Well, that's all grand. We still haven't found the rabbits. Do you want them or not? Because if not, I'll go and shoot some quails. We brought our hunting rifles. I'm starving.
Your rifle down. I surmise we'll be eating Mammy's biscuits tonight.
Dad?
I know you want to make some noise, but that's not the reason we came here. Miss McCormick, shall we begin?
I see no reason to delay. Mr. Malone, do you have the book?
The oath is in the front. The old version, from James Stephen's day. I remember the night I was sworn in. Come to the altar, boys.
Can I go first, Daddy? Please, can I?
Of course. The rules of seniority must be observed.
In the presence of God, I, Dylan Malone, do solemnly swear that I will do my utmost to establish the independence of Ireland, and that I will bear true allegiance to the Supreme Council of the Irish Republican Brotherhood and the government of the Irish Republic, and that I will implicitly obey the Constitution of the Irish Republican Brotherhood and all my superior officers, and that I will preserve inviolable the secrets of the organization. So help me God. Amen.
Amen. Caitlin McCluskey won't mind.
Not at all. I certainly don't.
All right. All right. It's your turn. Step up.
I'm not kissing her.
Why not? We've done it dozens of times before.
Yeah, not in front of my family.
It didn't stop Dylan now, did it?
Yeah, well, Dylan's got no shame. He's got the social graces of a 4-year-old. Yeah, he unbuckled his belt and pissed in front of you.
Look, this is no time to feign prudishness. It's getting late. My father is due his nightly dose of morphine. If I don't sedate him, he'll go out into the streets beating his head against the walls of his tenants' cottages. We don't have to seal the oath with a kiss. Right? Just say the words and be done, for God's sake. The Republic wants you.
No, she doesn't. I'm not exactly soldier material. I can barely make it uphill without panting.
Look, I'm willing to overlook your physical shortcomings. I didn't know how to impart it except by bringing you here, but just because you're puny doesn't mean that you can't be useful to the cause.
Oh, how extravagantly kind of you.
I know I haven't been lavishing praises upon you, but please God, you'll give me reason to praise you. Starting now, tonight, we write a new chapter in Malone family history. So, just be a good boy and follow your brother's lead. We'll break out a bottle of Jameson to celebrate. I've been keeping one for a special occasion such as this.
Well, there's no need to wait for me. Don't let me keep you from getting plastered.
Your obstinacy mystifies me.
You know, Daddy, I was going to try and do this the easy way, but you left me no choice. I've no intention of participating in your idiotic war games. Take a good look around. Here's a land with no future. How many failed insurrections will it take you to realize that? Besides, I don't think my English wife would be particularly happy about it. Not that she perceives your lot as a threat.
English wife? That's brilliant. I never figured you for a sense of humor.
She's a lady, a musical prodigy. When she plays Beethoven's sonata, time itself freezes.
And is she lame, this prodigy of yours, blind in one eye?
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but she's just as good looking as Miss McCormick. And she loves me.
Oh, well, this joke keeps getting better and better.
It's the truth, Dad.
And you're in on this joke. Well, there's brotherly solidarity.
It's no joke, Dad. There really is an English girl who plays piano. She's the one who got Hugh the tutoring job. I'd say my baby brother made out like a thief, even though his wife's a Protestant and all.
And you've known about this all along? And didn't think to alert me to this abomination before it started?
What's the use, Dad? Do you know how stubborn Hugh is? He gets an idea in his head. There's no stopping him.
There. What other proof do you need? Or need I go down to the city hall and collect the marriage license? You know, some people are good at playing two sides, sitting on two chairs at once. But I never had such talents. Now I've chosen my chair. The one with the Union Jack embroidered on it. I never hated the English. They were nice to me. Much nicer than my fellow Irish. Her father helped me with my dissertation. He gave me food when Dylan had drunk away all our money. Those damn Saxons saved me from a hungry death. Though, the old professor might be regretting his kindness now that I'm married to his daughter. Yeah, I've wedged my way into their inner circle. You should be proud of me, Daddy. I've done something you've only ever fantasized about. Seducing a woman from the enemy camp.
No. No respect for my father? My father did not build this shrine so you could settle your family matters in front of it. Oh. Oh, God. Shh. It's all right. It's all right. You know, a human skull can take a fantastic amount of abuse. My father would be the first one to testify to that. I'm still amazed he came back alive from South Africa. Although, his left eye can barely see, and there's that constant ringing in his ears.
It's true what they say. An injury by a father's hand is no injury at all. It's a medal, an amulet that hardens you for the battle.
Who told you such a silly thing?
I cannot recall.
That's because you made it up yourself. Face it, Dylan. That's what you want to believe, isn't it? That's what you want to believe, isn't it? That's what keeps you from running into the arms of an Englishwoman just like your brother. Don't think for a moment that I'm judging you. I completely understand why you have to justify your father's brutality.
It's not brutality if it came from someone who gave you life.
Well, still a blow to the head is a blow to the head. A little closer to the temple and we wouldn't be having this stimulating discussion. We'd be looking for a place to dig a grave.
No. Daddy knows how much I can withstand. He'd never cause me any lasting harm. He says there will be a war coming in the next 10 years. He wants me to be prepared. That's all.
I hope you don't find my next question overly intrusive, but do you intend to use the same pseudo-Spartan methods on your own child? I'm privy to the situation with Caitlin. Assuming she gives you a boy, boy is what you want, isn't it? Will you bash him over the head with a shovel? You may as well start early.
God willing, it won't come to that. And by the time my son is old enough, he'll be living in a free country. There won't be any need for head bashing. Isn't that the plan, is he? Isn't that what you promised to the lads you bring in?
I'm not done tending to your wound. Your father really outdid himself this time.
I asked you a question, Izzy. Don't change the subject. Isn't that what you promised to the lads? Freedom in the next 10 years?
Yes. Yes. I tell the lads what my father tells me. He's the military expert. For the love of God, will you let me finish? I'm not exactly confident in my medical skills.
One day, I'll win back Daddy's good graces. You wait and see.
So, Mama, what did you think? Be entirely candid, my performance, was it truly abysmal? Now, I asked for candor, not cruelty. Yes, I know I'm horribly out of practice, and this is horribly out of tune. I haven't played on a proper instrument in 2 years. This piece of rubbish doesn't count. If my technique has at all declined, it's by no fault of mine. It wasn't my decision to leave London Conservatory. It was Pa's brilliant idea to pull me out after your death. He lost his wits. He wanted me to run the school, and we couldn't let that go to hell now, could we? So he ruined my only chance for fame and glory. You know, this is the man that helps poor university students with their research dissertations. He's kind and generous to everyone except for his own daughter. Oh, Betsy, why isn't my head made out of porcelain like yours? Perhaps then it wouldn't ache so much. By God, Betsy, look who's here. My handsome prodigal husband. Honestly, I didn't think his father would let him go alive.
I haven't got a father.
Oh, so you killed him?
That's one way of phrasing it. Will you put that damn doll away? Ugh, its glass eyes are giving me the willies.
I was lonely. Betsy kept me company. What did you expect me to do? 3 days into our honeymoon, you took off.
Not without explanation. I told you I had to go back to Roscommon for a short while. Daddy was expecting us. I couldn't let Dylan travel alone. We always go together.
Indeed. Oh, your mentally deficient brother isn't very good at keeping secrets or even coming up with a convincing white lie. Single poke to the ribs, and he blurts out whatever's on his mind. This charming, juvenile candor must be the result of a brain injury, perhaps one too many cracks on the head with a whiskey bottle.
I'm gonna pretend like I didn't hear that last part. You can mock the Irish to your heart's content, from the Gaelic League to Sinn Féin. But leave my brother out of it.
Sorry. Haven't been able to sleep all week with all these thoughts swarming in my head.
What kind of thoughts?
Oh, the usual. You'd grown bored with me. Sure would give my London relatives something to gloat about. I can hear them now smacking their lips. Oh, stupid Edie, discarded by an Irishman.
You're stupid for thinking that, Edie. Come on, you have such little confidence in me.
Why should I have any confidence in you? Well, or in me, for that matter. We hardly know each other. The entire courtship ritual somehow got omitted.
Oh, come on. You hate formalities as much as I do. Rules are for normal people, which we clearly aren't.
I sometimes wonder if perhaps our marriage was solely to peeve our fathers.
Why do you think that?
Well, clearly your father is more peeved than mine. You had a gun held to your head. I didn't get so much as a scowl. In fact, when I broke the news, Papa merely shrugged from behind the latest edition of the London Times. He's had the same reaction to everything since Mama's death. And I still haven't forgiven him for ruining my musical career.
So, yeah, ran away with a man of inferior race. Poor Edie. All that exertion for Papa's attention. Well, it's too bad. I'm here to stay. You needn't worry about me running away. I got nowhere else to go.
What's happened to you? And where are your books?
Daddy used them for firewood. Well, here I am. All yours, Edie. I hope you still want me. You poor, penniless Irishman. Is there anything to eat around here? I'm famished.
You expect me to...
Oh, no, of course not. I wouldn't expect the star of London Conservatory to sully her fingers with cooking. Not on my account.
The former star. The musical Olympus no longer holds a place for me. And besides, my hands are sullied already. I've spent the afternoon mending my sister's dresses. They've let themselves get rather fat in the past year, those stupid pigs. Since Mama's death, they've been stuffing themselves with biscuits and marmalade. When she was alive, she wouldn't let them eat past 6 o'clock. You know, Mama wasn't a musical virtuoso by any means, but she was a very astute businesswoman. And she opened a school so that we would all have an income of our own, but sadly, my sisters aren't interested in growing artistically, only horizontally.
Oh, play something for me, Edie.
Pray for you?
No, play something for me.
But you aren't hungry anymore.
No. Suddenly lost my appetite.
I seem to have that effect on people. Are you in the mood for something iconic or obscure?
It doesn't really matter. Just something to remind me.
Of what? Why you came here in the first place? Well, I can already hear it going through your head. This Saxon bint better be worth the trouble.
Every ounce of it. Oh, come on, darling. We're a golden couple of Dublin. A scholar and a prodigy. When we appear in the concert halls and the lecture rooms, the onlookers will be green with envy. To me, that's the most gratifying thing in the world. Aggravating my rivals. Basking in their hate. To hell with modesty. We are the stuff of Anglo-Irish dreams.
Yes, it's imperative that the rest of the world believe that, even if we ourselves don't. How else are we to survive in this godforsaken city? I think I have something in mind.
Oh, hiya, darling. How was your day?
Abysmal.
Aw, that's my Edie. Ever so cheerful. Not that I expected a different answer.
Well, my day started off terribly, with the Hardy sisters tormenting me for 2 hours with their sloppy rendition of Schubert. And it got progressively worse when the mail came. That is from some woman named Isabel. We've been married for 2 months, and you're already receiving letters from other women? You could have at least had the decency to provide her with an alternative mailing address. That's what well-mannered adulterers do.
Isabel is an old friend.
Oh, a friend! I've heard that before. An old friend with bedroom privileges. Now go on, what are you waiting for? Open it. I haven't read it. My tyrannical mother raised me better than that. I don't read mail addressed to other people. What to say? Has your mistress left you for a banker? Or perhaps a starving actor? Let me see that. Dearest Hugh, your brother is awaiting execution. To prove his dedication to the cause, he shot an English soldier. I fear for your father's sanity. Please hurry home. But you don't believe a word of that, do you? Clearly this is a trap. Your old mistress wants to lure you back home so she concocted this tall tale.
No.
She cannot stand the idea of you prospering with another woman now, can she? No. She wants you to drop everything that you've gained in this city.
Isabel wouldn't lie. Not about something like that.
Sure. From what you've told me, your brother Dylan is a big, soft-hearted bull who kicks and punches but doesn't do anybody any real harm.
That's the thing. Dylan would do anything to regain Daddy's good graces.
Even kill a man.
You cannot comprehend the power Daddy holds over Dylan. The things I witnessed in my childhood. Daddy would thrash my brother senseless and then praise him for endurance. He'd give Dylan a bloody nose and then exalt him like some mythical hero. You know, something like this was used in ancient Sparta. Yeah, it's a method of cultivating loyalty. Now, I doubt Daddy knew the history of it, but it worked for him. He could send my brother through a wall of flames with one glance. So, something like this was bound to happen.
There are a few things I'd like to say to your father.
Yeah. I doubt he'd take to them too kindly.
No, let me finish. I wasn't about to condemn Mr. Malone. On the contrary, I sympathize with him. I know what it's like to want to kill another English person, starting with a few family members. We're a miserable lot. Oh, for God's sake, Hugh, don't look at me like that. You know I'm not particularly fond of my own race. If your brother did shoot someone, I doubt the world became bleaker as a result. In short, I agree with your father, and I intend to tell him that when I see him.
When you see him?
Yes!
No.
I'm going with you to Roscommon, and you didn't think I'd let you go alone.
No way. You mustn't overexert yourself. That's what the doctor said.
Hugh. If I can survive 10 lessons a day with my idiot students, I can survive a train ride.
I don't know what state I'll find my father in, if I'll find him at all. You can argue with me over anything. Any other day, but not today. Is this some kind of joke?
I'm trying to help, you fool. This belonged to my cousin, who fought in South Africa. Like me, he doesn't quite have a lot of respect for the crown.
There's no way.
Now, listen. If your friend, Isabel, is telling the truth, the place will be swarming with constabulary men, and they'll intercept you because of your Fenian links.
But I'm not a member myself.
Oh, God, but you're Dylan Malone's brother, and that's reason enough for them to intercept you. What do you know about prisons and interrogations? Nothing. You've been an exemplary member of the Crown. Are you anxious to find out about all that firsthand? No. So wear the uniform and they'll leave you alone.
No one will believe I'm a soldier.
The English aren't terribly perceptive. To them, the outer shell is everything. Now go.
To thine aid, O most liberty-loving O'Toole. What do you make of this? If I may be so bold, I'm actually rather proud of my handiwork. It's a pity Daddy wasn't there when it happened. The authorities couldn't believe I'd acted alone. They questioned me for hours to see if I had any accomplices. I've but one grievance against Daddy, for leaving gaps in my education. All his beatings, all your lessons in endurance couldn't prepare me for this. Do you think they'll restore my knuckles in heaven so I'll be able to play the fiddle again? Caitlin better collect herself. She'd better not make a scene at my graveside. None of that wailing and hair pulling. No. It's an honor to be a martyr's widow. It's a bloody honor.
Call to thine aid, most liberty-loving O'Toole. Do you remember me from last June? Of course you do. I could tell from that discerning look in your eye. I could tell from that condemning look in your eye. Didn't think I'd be back so soon, did you? Well, I was summoned here by Mr. McCormick's daughter. God knows what for. But here I am, in this ludicrous getup. There has got to be a reason. Just give me a sign. What am I to do next?
Mr. Malone, I pray you have a damn good reason for pulling me out of bed at this hour.
I need your help.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph, what have you done now?
I killed the bloody bastard.
Whom?
A Tommy soldier. I saw him in front of the shrine, no doubt come to desecrate it. God himself guided my hand. I need your help to bury the body.
You're delirious and you're drunk.
Did you not hear the gunshot?
Everyone in the house heard the gunshot. My father woke up thinking he was still in South Africa. He sat up in the bed shouting, "Charge!"
Well, my apologies to Aidan. But I needed to borrow the shovel anyway. Come on. Cover his face. What's the matter, Miss McCormick? Have you never seen a corpse before? God willing, he won't be the last dead Brit in your path. Don't go plunging into hysteria now. None of your banshee wailing. Just make yourself useful, love. Cover his face like I told you.
I swear that's the last service I'll ever attend there. The Reverend Hurley's voice sounds like a squashed bagpipe. The English must pay him to deter his parishioners. That's my theory, anyway. So, this is the sacrificial ground?
Look, I count on your discretion. You mustn't tell a soul. I pray you were being sincere with me earlier on.
I'm always sincere. That's my flaw. I'm not too great at spouting pleasantries on demand.
So, you don't hold a grudge against me then?
Miss McCormick, I'm tickled by your interest in me. It's admirably cheeky of you to even show your face around me, considering all that you've done to sabotage my short-lived marriage. I simply do not have the strength to nurse your bleeding conscience right now.
Still, I feel responsible for Hugh's death. I shouldn't have written to him at all. If only I could go back in time and crumple that letter.
You loved that schoolboy, didn't you?
He was determined to sever all ties to his natural family and reinvent himself as a proper Englishman. And I pulled him back into the very world he yearned to escape. I should have kept him out of it.
No, don't be ridiculous. He would have found out about Dylan's arrest sooner rather than later. And besides, the uniform was my idea, so whatever role you've played in this grisly farce, it is rather minor compared to mine. And his father pulled the trigger.
What will you do now?
God knows. I'm tempted to burn down the school and move far, far away, perhaps somewhere on the continent. Business isn't going so well these days. I'm losing students left and right. Nobody wants to learn music from a woman whose husband was murdered by his own father. I have no friends, except for that stupid doll. I loathe these stupid cows and their tone-deaf brats. Sometimes I fantasize about sprinkling dynamite over some of the mansions on Frankfurt Avenue and striking a match.
Perhaps you don't need to resort to such drastic measures. There might be a niche for you with us in Dublin.
Your optimism is endearing.
Humor me. Have you heard of an organization called Daughters of Erin? It's been in existence for 10 years. Maud Gaunt started it.
Oh, you mean that scandalous Amazon worshipped by Yeats?
Yes, that's the one. If you loathe middle-class English womanhood, you'll be happy with us. We're a handful of spirited working girls hungry for trouble.
But don't I need to be Irish?
You just need to hate the monarchy. Nothing else is required.
You make it sound so easy. I cannot help but be suspicious.
I don't blame you. Why don't you come to one of our next meetings? Unless, of course, you have more exciting plans.
Hardly.
This is your chance to be part of a revolution. Raise your sails. Prepare for a tempest. There's a little voice in my head that keeps saying it's going to be one hellish decade.
Well, they fought for dear old Ireland, and pure bitter was their fate. But what glorious pride and sorrow filled the fate of 98. And thank God you still are beating hearts and manhood's burning noon, who will follow in their footsteps by the rising of the moon, by the rising of the moon, by the rising of the moon, who will follow in their footsteps by the rising of the moon.